And for the third time here, good morning and thank you all for joining the weekly wave for this week. We do have a couple of updates for a few reports. If you haven't seen those through our Engage OK emails or through our office specific email addresses as well. So to get right into it, I'm going to remind you guys of the fact that our end of year reports are beginning to open or have already opened. So there are 4 wave wizards that we are asking for you to keep an eye on. 3 of them are in the wave. 2 of them you can find in single sign-on as well. So if you have any issues specifically with the data validation wizard, and they are related to errors and not specifically warnings. For example, if you're seeing some English learner errors related to the information that was put into your student information system, because that's what your district got on the home language survey. These are issues that we're not expecting to be corrected because you are putting in the correct information. It just doesn't meet our business rules. But for other situations, say you have a error that says something about the student's enrollment does not match up with the accredited grades for the site they're enrolled in, things like that, do reach out to our office and we will take a look. There was an issue earlier this week, late last week, earlier this week, with the grade level as invalid codes. So we are fixing that. If you are still seeing those issues, then you want to, please send us an email and we will add your district as a list of examples that need to be corrected. Same thing goes with Ownership Wizard. If you are seeing those and you're having trouble reaching out to the other district, we do say that the next best step is to include your regional accreditation officer or your RAO in those conversations to hopefully get the ball rolling on figuring out whether or not that student is at another school district. If you're seeing a district ownership issue and you contacted the other district and they say they do have that student enrolled and you also have a student enrolled, do reach out to us. It's very possible that they, for some reason, are sharing an STN. And that's a very simple fix. We can just go in and unlink those 2 students and that ownership issue will drop off. One thing to note with the ownership wizard, all districts do have complete control over who gets notified for district ownership issues. An email goes out to every person listed with the district ownership wizard contact role, and your single sign-on admin or your superintendent is the manager of giving out those roles. So if you'd like somebody else in your district to start getting those emails related to the district ownership wizard, do make sure that you're going into single sign-on and updating those user roles for this particular application so that whoever needs to get those emails can start getting them. And the same thing goes with the STN system and the XSD wizard. These are things that you're going to need to monitor. And if you do have questions with either of those, you can reach out to our office and we'll take a look and explain anything that you may have a question on. We do have guides and whatnot for all 4 of these on our website under documents and guides. If you're not familiar with them, the XSD wizard is the only one that does not have written documentation. There's only a video that will walk you through how to correct those issues with your student information system vendor. So we have been getting a lot of emails and I would say phone calls as well related to STNs. I do know that we are correcting some issues that were around for a handful of years. We're now just correcting that issue. So that's why for some of you, you are seeing a kind of mass spike in the number of students that are popping up in the STN resolution system. This is not anything that you're doing. Unfortunately, we do not have the capability of having a state view and a district view. So we're all kind of working in this right now together. So like I said, you may see a spike in the number of students that show up in your STN resolutions list. The DIS office is working on resolving those. If you're not comfortable with correcting those issues, you can still work just as you have been in resolving students that are still currently enrolled. But if you are seeing students that have left your district a while ago and are wondering why they're popping up in the STN resolutions list, it's just, it's related to the work that we're doing to make sure that we can display historical information for all students without causing any issues with FERPA and whatnot. So we are working with the 4 offices that you can see on the screen: accountability, assessment, our EL office, and special ed. These are our 4 bigger offices that do collect data from the wave. And they are all very aware of the work that we're doing. To my knowledge, the EL office is the only one so far that has sent out a blanket email letting you guys know for testing purposes what the directive is and whatnot. But for the other 3 offices, we are still kind of working on that guidance to make sure that we've got all of our bases covered to let you know this is what will happen when you look at, say, assessment scores over the summer, or you're looking in accountability reporting, and for those of you who have access to EdPlan, how that'll affect records and whatnot. So we apologize for the confusion for some of you, but this is very necessary work that we do need to do. And you shouldn't see this throughout the year. Next year, it should be winding down here over the next couple of weeks. So that is essentially kind of what's going on with the STNs right now, at least. So if you are still encountering questionable things, do reach out to us and we will explain, hopefully as best as we can, what's going on for your district specifically or with a specific student. And I've already said that. So on to report reminders. So accountability has sent out a number of emails since last week to let you all know that the demographic overlay is now open, and that will be closing on June 30th, 2021. Our office is more than willing to forward your emails and voicemails along to the accountability office. We are not the office that does maintain that report. It is just in the wave. So for questions and anything along the sort, accountability is going to be the office that you're going to want to reach out to. I've got their email address on the screen. Their phone number is, if you prefer that, 405-522-5169. And as it has been for the last couple of weeks, the annual statistical report at the student level has been open, and many of you have been doing a great job of asking questions related to your calendars or with your student attendance or transportation. So keep them coming. Our office and state aid are fielding those questions. So if you have a data related question, it's best to direct those over to us if you say need or to state aid if you need say a data pool requested. If it's not on a day that we are already requesting for the data, we can get that taken care of for you. But do make sure that you're looking at and reviewing your calendars before you go about picking on student attendance, because all of our calculations are based off of your calendars. So if that's wrong, your ADA and ADM will be off, as well as your transportation for those students. So it's very important to make sure that that calendar is correct and is reflecting the accurate information that you have at your districts. So just to remind everyone that we do request for calendar information almost every day. So if you're not seeing changes that are that you're making in your student information system, and it's been more than 48 hours, do reach out to us. That is unusual. All student information systems are set up to send us changes on the fly without us requesting for calendar, without requesting for your calendars. So if you're making changes again in your calendar, your SIS is set up to send us that information without us needing to prompt it to. The only thing that is not is your student daily attendance, but there are a few vendors out there that are making that change to start sending us changes without us prompting them to. So that's fabulous. But for a large majority of you, you are dependent on our request schedule for student daily attendance, and we only request for that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And I apologize, this date here on the demographic overlay looks like it has changed since I made these slides. It does look like we're closing the demographic overlay on May 15th, not June 30th. I apologize for that. So thank you for those of you who've let me know in the chat. Yes, can confirm it will be closing on May 14th at 11:59 p.m. So when these slides go up, that will not say June 30th. So apologies for that. All right, onward to the dropout report. There have been many questions about the dropout report, and we have made some corrections in the last 48 hours. So for those of you who have reached out to us and haven't heard back from someone in our office specifically, do take a look at your report again to make sure that something hasn't changed, or if the question that you did ask us has been resolved. We are working through answering all of those questions. We've got about 30 or so of you from yesterday till today to get back to. So bear with us on that. It is a kind of time-consuming process, specifically if you have questions for students that have transferred to another district. And I went into that in just a moment. But for corrections for the dropout report that have been made in the last 48 hours, we have fixed an issue where there were students that were actively enrolled in a school district after September 30th. There was a rule change in the EdFax reporting that allowed us to do that. This is something that we will be doing only for the school year 20 dropout collection. We are going to be going back to our usual reporting window for this report next year. So we will be looking at enrollments between October 1st and September 30th for school year 2021. But for school year 20, we were able to look at students that re-enrolled after September 30th and drop them from this report. So that was corrected. Students who had a non-reporting basis of admission, say they were a foreign exchange student, or they were a PK3, or not PK3, sorry, that grade level is not in this report, but say like OHP and things like that. Those students have been removed from the report as well. That was an oversight on our part. And we have corrected the issue where even if you made corrections on our on-screen data entry, those students who had a exit reason that would drop them from the report, they were still appearing. That has been corrected yesterday morning. So if you are still seeing those students on the report, it's going to be because of something I am going to talk about in just a minute. So those three are the main updates that we've done with this report, and that should have taken care of a lot of the issues that we were getting questions on. Now, there is something that we're still working on. We're still waiting on getting the information related to the Easy Grad and enrollment graduation updates. So for those of you who are diligently working in the accountability reporting system and putting that information in, if you're seeing the updated information in accountability reporting, but are still not seeing that information in the dropout report, do bear with us until we get that specific subset of information loaded onto the dropout report. You know, it's a little confusing, the back and forth between the WAVE report and what's going on in accountability reporting. But right now, we are still waiting on getting the large subset of changes that have been applied through their system. And like I said last week, we are not expecting to continue on with this process. This is an unexpected workaround that we put in place for this particular collection only. We will have a more streamlined process going forward for the school year 2021 report. We're not expecting for you all to have to do changes in 2 different applications. you'll be directed to one and you'll make the changes for previous year data in one application, and that change will feed into any other report that needs to look at historical information. So again, I do apologize for a lot of the confusion and the frustration that you guys may be kind of working with this report. But in order to get accurate information for what's going on in your student information systems, this is the way for this year only that we were able to do it. So again, sorry about that. Just bear with us. We will be letting you guys know about how you can go about submitting that documentation and whatnot for previous year changes here in the next couple of months. So it's very clear before a report opens how the process will be for uploading and seeing and making all of those changes for previous year information, since your student information system will not be set up to send previous year information to the WAVE. So, like I was saying, if you have a student that's marked as transferred, but they're still showing up on the dropout report, and this can go for transferred to another diploma issuing school, another transfer to a charter school, or anything of the sorts. The reason why 9 times out of 10 so far, why these students are still showing up on the report is because after they left from your district, they had a name change between districts. So that caused the STN to change. Second bullet point here, the STN changed between districts. Like I said, we're in the middle of trying to mitigate a lot of those issues, but for name changes, we can't always catch those because they can sometimes be pretty drastic, name changes, so they don't pop up in the resolutions list, or the other district is not aware of the previous name, so they create a new STN. Many different problems with that, but long story short, those are the two main situations where I'm seeing students that are marked as transferred are still showing up on the report. Third bucket here is the student never enrolled. They may have submitted a records request, or the other district may have submitted a records request to your district, and they may have gone about the process of pre-enrolling that student, but they no-showed for whatever time period that they were expected to show up at the second district. So that is why they are showing up as still a dropout. The other issue here that's not listed on this slide, but is kind of confusing a lot of districts that I've talked to recently. If you are seeing a student that is on the report, they exited, say, out of state, and you go onto the report and they don't have a exit reason or date. That is another reason why they're showing up on the report. We do not know what to do with those students. We're expecting for them to re-enroll, but since we do not get information from out-of-state districts, we don't know that they went out of state. So that is another situation where they're showing up still on this report. So if you've got any of those situations, reaching out to our office is going to be the best bet, best course of action. Again, like I've been saying, please bear with us. We're kind of getting phone calls every 5 minutes or so. We're trying to work as quickly as we can, but we're only human. So just reach out to us either through phone or email, and we will get back to you one way or another. Your other courses of action, if you are able to track down some of these students, say you have them listed as discontinued schooling, but you're pretty sure they shouldn't be on your dropout report, contacting the parent or guardian or other district if you had a records request just to confirm where they are, will go. It will help in terms of conversations with the State Department in terms of tracking down some of these students. So, like I've been saying, we are working on still getting that the twin of this report open. This is for students that were enrolled between October 1st and June 30. And these are situations that we're expecting for you to be able to correct in your SIS until you roll over for school year 22. This is not something that we're going to expect for you to certify, only for reviewing purposes. And I kind of mentioned this in that very first slide, but if you are still having issues with your validations or ownership wizard, do reach out. If you're noticing that you've corrected something in your data validation wizard and it's not falling off of the validation wizard, reach out to us. That's unusual. Or same thing with your ownership wizard. If you are seeing situations that you've corrected in your student information system and it's still just showing up on the wave as an issue, reach out to us so we can look to see if there's some sort of communication breakdown between your student information system and the wave in terms of the requests that we send out every day but Sunday. I say that because the communication dashboard is a little misleading. It will show excellent if your student information system is set up to send us data without a prompt from the State Department. The WAVE will send out requests for data around 6 a.m. Every day that we are requesting for data. And so if your student information system sent us data at 1 o'clock on its own, but didn't respond to the 6 a.m. request for, say, enrollments, your communication dashboard will show up as excellent because we have heard from your student information system recently. It's just not for the data that we expected to receive. This is something that is on our wish board to make a little bit better, to make it very clear what type of information is actually showing as excellent. What have we seen in the last day or so? There's many things that we're wanting to make better for you, so it's easier for you to understand and see what the state has versus what you have in your student information system. But right now, like I've been saying, the communication dashboard is a little misleading. So if you are seeing issues with things that you know you've corrected in your student information system, don't just sit on it, reach out to us and we will take a look at it. With 544 districts to maintain, it can be sometimes a needle in a haystack for us. So any help that we can get with some of these smaller issues, but big, will help out you with reporting in the long run. So let me take a look here at the chat. Yes, there was a issue on the Dropout Report, if that's what your chat message is referring to. There's a question here, is the issue with the reporting tools fixed? They have not been able to full site or district level reentry. To my knowledge, that should have been fixed earlier this week. We did test it with a few districts, but that's not to say that something else has happened since then. But we will take a look at that and see if we can replicate that problem. And if so, we'll open another ticket and we'll get it fixed. And
hey, Lakeisha, can you hear me okay?
yes.
So with the grad audit and accountability, there's just all kinds of user interface issues. Like we can't see more than 50 students at a time on the easy entry. And we can't fix any student or submit documentation for any student until all of those easy entries are done. And so it's very, I mean, it's frustrating, but
that's fair.
Is it worth even alerting accountability to these? Like, is this going to be a type of format that they're going to use in the future? Or is this just this year only?
I would tell them about that because that may be a format that they are going to, apply to other DVR type situations. Yeah, I would let them know your frustrations with that, because I'm very sure that they're going to start applying that to other similar types of data correction, verification, things like that.
Right. Well, and I know they wanted us to do the easy entries first. I get that. However, if we only have documentation for, 10 kids, then they may not even be on that list, and that list won't populate more than 50. And so I'm sitting here with documentation for kids I can't submit because they won't even show on the screen. And this is a tight turnaround time considering state testing, and this is the second audit we've had to do. And there's still there's kids we've already submitted documentation for on the 2019 grad audit that are still on this one because they're 5 and 6 year. And so we're submitting those again.
No, and that is exactly what we did not want you to have to do.
Well, they're on there.
Yes.
Like some of those kids that they're on the easy entry, we've already submitted documentation for.
Okay. I'm kind of jotting all this down too. So let's see. I will pass this along to accountability today, but it never hurts to also hear that from district. So if there's anybody else on the call that's doing the Easy Grad or Enrollment Grad entry DBRs, and you're running into the same problems, do reach out to them and let them know, because there are a lot of moving parts right now, like was mentioned. So we're trying to make this easy for you, and I know it's not right now. It's a little all over the place. So let's see here. You have a middle school student, transfer student to out of state. Do we send documentation? If you're talking in terms of the wave report at this moment in time, we're not specifically doing anything with that documentation. If you want to submit it or send it along with an email, that's fine. But if you do have the on-screen data entry open right now, you can go ahead and make the same edits that you have in your student information system. So we do match. The intention is at a later point, accountability will open that window for non-cohort students and allow for you to just submit the documentation as you get it. So right now, if you've got the documentation for those out-of-state students, go ahead, you can make the change on the dropout report if it's open for you through on-screen data entry. Hold on to the documentation, any and all documentation that you have for those students in the event that you're asked for it. And let's see. Yes. I completely understand. End of the school year. Okay, so this has also been kind of a thing we've gotten a lot of questions on too. There's a question in the chat here that says, at the end of the school year, we roll our students with the 3505, which is exited. It's the blanket rollover code for the following year. If they don't report for that first day, they're coded as a no-show and their current year record is removed. Do we need to go into the prior year and update the 3505 rollover code to 1931 or et cetera, because we don't know where they ended up? You can do that, yes, in your student information system, but we will not get that information. 9 times out of 10. If this situation is happening at the beginning of the next school year, we will not get that information. Your student information system and or the wave has already rolled over to the next school year. And so we're only set up to talk to each other for one school year at a time. So this is where, and really why, the large majority of the confusion is coming from with this dropout report, because we are not set up to get prior year information. And currently right now, there's no other way for you guys to submit documentation in means that you're used to through accountability reporting. So you can make the changes in your student information system, and then we're allowing for you for this year only to make that same change in the dropout report so it reflects correctly. And then at a later point, like I said earlier, keep that documentation as proof of for accountability purposes. And like I said, we are going to streamline this process so it is less confusing. You're only having to go into one application to submit all of your previous year changes, and it should be good to go for any other report that needs to use and display previous year info. And we're planning on taking the wave offline for the rollover mid-July-ish. And we'll send out our normal emails beforehand to let you know, hey, in about 2 weeks, we're going to be rolling it over. We'll probably, since we do have the dates set, I want to wait until it gets a little bit closer just to make sure we don't need to bump it further back or bring it forward for some reason. But mid-July is when we're expecting to start our rollover.
We actually have some actual dates. Hold on just a second. July 12th through it'll go offline on basically July 10th, and we'll come back up on July 26th. Another announcement that you guys need to know about coming soon is PEBT. I know you guys loved it last year, and this year is going to be a lot of fun too. Except for this year, you're actually going to be able to see a report on what we're sending over to all the data that we're sending to DHS on a monthly basis. I would highly suggest waiting to roll your systems until after you validate the PEBT data. I am very, very aware that your PEBT data or your PEBT report is not even available to you yet at the moment. We are literally using the data that you're sending to us right now to populate this report. It is, we've been working with Google and DHS and SpringML, which is a Google partner, to develop a report that's based on wave data. It'll be color coded if they, red and green if they meet the requirements and how many days they meet the requirements for. Child Nutrition and myself are working on a training plan right now on how this report works and what you would need to do if something was wrong in the data. But it's basically go in your student information system and correct the data. That's how you fix it. We are working on that training plan now. The system should be up and live within the next week or so, and we will start doing training. And there's only 6 months worth of data to review. From October till the end of the year. Very, 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 very aware that this is super late, and understand the frustrations that will be happening, that will come in over the next few days, but it really is just economically disadvantaged, free and reduced, and attendance if a student was in attendance on certain days, and basis of admission. I mean, that's really all it's going to be. There may be some address changes possibly, but other than that, that's what we're verifying. Probably we'll need some child nutrition / free and reduced folks or to help you guys do this data collection. But this is the data we're sending over to DHS for them to pay out PEBT benefits or pandemic EBT benefits for the last 8 months, since October. I would highly suggest we do not roll over until you have reviewed all of that data. Just an FYI now, so that everybody understands this. Superintendent Hoffmeister will be talking about this very soon with the superintendents in an all-district call as well. This is coming very, very quickly. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know where we were with that and what is going to be expected, or what is going to be thrown at you very late in the school year. I just want to let everybody know that this is coming, and please do not roll over to next year until you've done that validation and verification of that data. What is EBT? Electronics Benefit Transfer is what EBT stands for. It's basically SNAP program for students who are doing virtual or distance learning and didn't receive a meal at school. So if, you know, all your students that have been distance learning this year or have been sent home due to COVID or whatever, if they are free and reduced or on SNAP or economically disadvantaged, or there's several different things, qualifying points there, and they have missed a meal in your school, the federal government has allocated funding to send out to those students and families for missing those meals and having to eat at home while doing school. If they were absent, even if they were distance learning or supposed to be distance learning and they were absent, they do not receive benefits. And we should be going live within the next couple weeks. I mean, the system is almost done. The report is almost done. It'll be in single sign-on. It's almost finished being built out. But we will do training before we throw it out. We have not come up with due dates, Linda. We are trying to make sure that we can get the system out first and then give you a reasonable timeline. I mean, nothing's going to be reasonable at this point, honestly, but as reasonable as much as we can for you guys to have some time, because you're going to have to go October. You're going to have to do this, verify these reports on a monthly basis. So you're going to have to start back in October and verify that, yeah, all these kids are, yeah, that's correct. And they should receive PEBT. Yes, they were free and reduced back then, and they're, you know, whatever. So you'll have to do October, then November, then December, then January, February, March, April, and May. And then on into June if you're into school then. So like I said, there's a lot of things that have to be done, and a lot of months that have to be done. It should not take an excessively long time. Should not. I hope it doesn't take an excessively long time to validate this data. I am trying to make it as easy as possible with the tools I've been given. So, like I said, superintendent will have these conversations too with the superintendents across the state. We're doing the best we can with what we've been given, having to work with DHS and the software that they've developed. So, it does not apply to any virtual schools. I will say that all the virtuals that none of the students qualify for PEBT if they are enrolled in virtual school. So if it's a statewide virtual, you're lucky you get out of it. Yeah, I understand everybody's having to roll over on June 30th. I get it. I totally understand. And that's why we're trying to get this to you well before that, or as much as close as soon as I possibly can. And so I've been working on this since January, and it's just been it's been a fun experience. I'll say it like that. And I will offer my apologies for it not being out beforehand, even though it really was out of my control. Just wanted to put you guys on notice not to roll like in the middle of May, getting ready for next year. And I get why you need to be doing it. I honestly, if we can get this done quick, it'll be easy and you can roll as soon as that's done. But I just want to let you know, don't roll until you've at least seen it and know what's going on. You'll put yourself in a position you don't want to be in, or you may not want to be in. Okay, that's all I have. And I'm sorry for interrupting, but I wanted to get that out there real quick. No need to panic. Just understand it's going to be quite a bit.
Thanks, Eric. I think you have one more question in the chat.
Says we had virtual students and only applied distance learning to in-person students for specific circumstances. Those virtual students did not get anything. Virtual students at a brick and mortar, so in your school district, Joe, yes, all your virtual students would qualify. Only the students who are at virtual charter schools, like statewide virtual charter schools, don't qualify. Virtual students in a brick and mortar do.
Great. And it will not hurt to get some of those bullet points added to the slides before we post them. Obviously, for those of you who are watching this YouTube video, you won't see any of this, but we can always throw those on there for the PDFs on our website. So with that, I think we've answered every question so far in the chat here. So I will go ahead and stop the recording.